Kalispera. Hello again. Thank you for coming to this beautiful venue, the Momus Thessaloniki Museum of Photography. We have with us the Audiovisual Producers Association of Greece, and they have to present the selective fundings and financial strategies in Greece. And they have a lot of talk about, and they have here some guest speakers as well. So we welcome, sorry if I mess up your last name, so Irma Simanskyte, okay, great, Head of Film Production Department at the Lithuanian Film Center. As you know, we have hosting Lithuania and a delegation of Lithuanian producers, distributors and film programmers because of our new initiative, Bridge to the North, that we just had a talk about. And we have with us Milan Stojanovic, producer, CEO from Sense Production Serbia, and our esteemed colleagues from Greece, Konstantinos Kontovrakis, producer and co-founder of Heretic, and he's the association's general secretary. We have Vicky Miha, producer and founder of Asterisk, and it's the association's, she's a member of the association. And Maria Laskaridou, producer from Argonauts production, also a member. And Amanda Livanou, producer, founder of Neda Film. She's the treasurer of the association, and she will be moderating today. Thank you and enjoy.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. I know it's a tiresome day. It's late in the afternoon. We will reward you with our happy hour organized with the Lithuanian Film Center afterwards. So I welcome you to what has now slowly become a tradition, a talk each year at this very venue during the festival by the Hellenic Audiovisual Producers Association. We try to do a talk every year where we invite esteemed colleagues. Last year it was the Development Fund of Greece and how they are active in the audiovisual sector nowadays. This year we're going to talk a little bit about, we always give you an update what's happening in the industry, and we're going to talk, as the subject says, a little bit about how selective and automatic funding and works in Greece, what the strategies are in place, and what Europeans models are around, and how we work with them. I think we can all agree that the Greek industry is thriving in the last few years, meaning there's a lot of productions. We instituted the rebate in 2017, but of course it has skyrocketed in the last years. In this very room yesterday, the president of the new president of the ECOME, which is the organization administering the rebate, announced that about 100 million has been dispersed through the rebate in the last few years. Most of it during the last 2 years, actually. He said more than 50%, he mentioned, actually, has been dispersed in the last 2 years. 2/3 of that money, he estimated, has gone to foreign productions, meaning servicing in Greece, as well as co-productions. And 1/3 of that money has gone to the local sector, meaning Greek productions. This is including the television sector, of course, which is also thriving through the rebate. So this is an idyllic, obviously, picture of what's happening. And of course, as producers, we're super happy, but we also need to highlight how to get better, how not to repeat mistakes that other rebates have done. When you are working in a smaller country like Greece, we have the advantage of being able to learn from other experiences and not to repeat the same mistakes. This is particularly true in cases of rebate because it's an instrument that has been working in Europe and in the States as well. As we know, there are specific places where the rebates are really, really active, like Georgia. And so we aim to highlight this. Of course, our job as producers and as a producer association is to lobby the government, is to often be unpleasant, is to highlight the problems and to constantly try to get better. To this end, this is the rebate. This is an automatic tool. It's a specific tool. It's not selective. It has to do with developing the sector. It has to do with money being spent, money being returned. It is not a tax rebate. It's a cash rebate. It's often confused because there are many tax rebates. We'll get to that at the end. But I mention this because it's straight. It's a very straight business transaction. You spend X amount of money, you get this amount back, provided you've done everything right. It's not nuclear science. It's really simple. It should be efficient, diligent, diligence should be made, and it should be crystal clear procedures. And then we have the selective tools of funding, of which in Greece there is two. There's the Greek Film Center, an organization that you all know. It's been around forever, for the past 40 years for sure. We have the president of the Film Center here, Mr. Cholevas, and some of the lovely people working in it. And the public television, ERT. It's worth saying that the Film Center has remained functioning with the same budget since the beginning, the heights of the financial crisis, which let's define 2015 in Greece. So the Greek Film Center is working with a 3.5 million yearly budget allocated by the government through the state budget. Oftentimes they try to get more and they get an emergency aid, but we will see what this number means for the European experience. So, without further ado, I will pass the microphone to Irma, who is here to tell us how the Lithuanian Film Center works, what's the relationship between selective funding and automatic funding in terms of administration organization, and some very dispiriting numbers for Greek selective funding.
Hello to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Thessaloniki Film Festival and AGORA Market, especially Angeliki, for inviting Lithuania delegation to take part in all markets activities. So we are very happy about that, and I think that in the future our collaboration will get tighter. So I have prepared for you some information which I think is useful for both of us to better understand each other. It might be that you have heard already some information because the panel on co-production with Lithuania finished 10 minutes ago. So, and Laimonas, the director of Lithuanian Film Center, is sitting here. So, and we're participating in the panel. But it might be that for some of you didn't participate in the panel before, and you will get some information, some new information. So I was asked to present the Lithuanian Film Center, the funding system, and I would like to highlight some elements, some important elements. I won't read all the written information because I know we don't have much time, and I have quite a lot of slides. So what is important to know that we have an external experts for different film categories, and each expert committee consists of 3 members. One is a film art curator, one professional film art assessor, usually it's a film critic, and film producer. What does it mean? It means that all the decisions on the evaluation projects are taken not by us as a Lithuanian Film Center representatives, but by experts from film industry. So the duration of the expert service on the committee is 2 years. So we have 4 committees: Committee of Experts for the Development of a Future Film Project, committee of experts for the production of feature film project, committee of experts on the documentary films, and committee of experts on the animation. So in general, we have 2 deadlines, and all these 2 deadlines cover all kinds of applications, including also minority co-production, and we do support all kinds of films. What's important maybe to know that our decisions take 2 months after the deadline of submission of application. So, Lithuanian Film Center has signed 2 co-production treaties, one with France in 2015 and in Israel recently in 2022. All our co-productions are supported according to the Convention on Cinematographic Co-production. And also, Lithuanian Film Center is acting according to national film law, and according to the Article 9 on it, the films that are co-productions are given a priority in terms of national funding. So looking from the practical side of view, it means that experts evaluating co-productions give 2 points, let's say, automatically. General information, no more than 20% of state funding allocated to film production may be used outside Lithuania, and if we speak about minority co-production, no more than 5% can be used outside Lithuania. So I have here some numbers. I thought maybe it's interesting to you to have an overview. So I have numbers of 5 years. So in 2019, I speak here only for the production. So in 2019, for the production, we had 4.3 million euros. And in 2023, we have, the year is not finished, but we distributed all our money, 5.7 million euros. I would like to pay attention to the year of 2020. It was a sad year from one side because we had a COVID, but it was a successful year for Lithuanian production because we got an extra money, and with this money we got 7.7 million only for the development and production we got extra 2 millions, and with this money we managed to finance good projects, and the results are now seen in the film festivals. So on the other part of the slide, I tried to calculate how much we distribute for the development and production. Just for your information and curiosity, I also would like to draw attention to this 2020 COVID year. So we spent 1 million only for the development. So here also some numbers just to understand how was successful year with 7.7 million euro for the productions. We managed to finance 109 film projects, and if we look into the numbers, so we managed to finance 7 feature films, including 1 high budget film. For example, 4 debuts, for future debut, 2 future debut and 2 documentary debut. And yeah, and we have the numbers of the last year. It's 5 feature films, 1 future debut. We are not so very happy about these numbers, but yeah, because we had the right numbers in 2020, but still we are happy with what we have. I would like to introduce you some also maximum amounts for the development funding. We have 2 schemes for the development. In the future film category, we have film script writing as a separate scheme and future film development. For the film script writing, you can get up to 6,000 euro, and we talk about the development, about full and future film development up to 45,000, future documentary film up to 25,000, short documentary film up to 15,000, and animation up to 60, and interactive up to 45,000 euro. So here you see amounts of full-length production funding, full-length feature film animation and animation series. We finance up to 800,000 euros. We have also a high budget film category, which can be financed up to 1,500,000. High-end TV drama, which was introduced 2 years ago, up to 500,000. Full-length documentary up to 300,000. Documentary film series up to 100,000. So here are some amounts for short film production funding, but I would like to go further. So minority co-production scheme is very important, I think, for you. The same rules, 2 deadlines, who can apply Lithuanian co-producer. All kind of categories are supported. What is important that before the submission of application, 50% of total budget has to be confirmed. And as I mentioned before, 5% of a grant can be spent outside Lithuania. So these are maximum grants per project. So you can receive up to 200,000 if at least one of your co-authors is Lithuanian in your project, and up to 100,000 is at least one head of unit is Lithuanian. So just for you to see how many minority co-productions we have supported during last 4 years. And it's quite a lot, I would say, 41 projects. And if you see the countries, the most country we co-produce with as a majority country, we as a minority country is Latvia, then Estonia, Spain, Poland, Georgia, Italy, Portugal, Norway, Sweden, Germany, Belgium, Ukraine, and so on. Unfortunately, no Greece. I hope that soon we will receive some application from.
There's always hope. We're still here.
From Greece. So another very successful scheme we run is a film tax incentive scheme. It came into effect in 2014, and what is important, you can save up to 30% of a film production budget through private investment scheme. What do you need to find a local producer who can apply to the Lithuanian Film Center and who takes responsibility for finding a local business company which is willing to invest into a film, and in exchange he gets a reduced corporate income tax. So it's available for all kinds of films, and annual cap we have 50 million, which is a lot, and what is important to understand that no cap per project. As much as you spend in Lithuania, 30% can be used as a tax incentive. As I understood, I have to go a bit, I am ending my presentation. So, and the results of film tax incentive, you see here the results of film tax incentive. What is important, that if you compare the state funding, the direct state funding and tax incentive, we have 50-50. So you see the red color is of a direct state support, the red color is of a film tax incentive, the green color is of co-productions, but the balance is equal. And this is very important because, especially for national films, because we can use, and they use successfully, tax incentive scheme. So but here what we do as a film production department, we do a lot of things, but what is important maybe to highlight here that we have hosted workshop sessions in Lithuania for film professionals. And since the establishment of the Lithuanian Film Center, which was in 2012, we started to invite workshops. 2014 was the first one. So Eurodoc, Miha workshop, Java Producers Workshop, Torino Film Lab, LIM for 4 years, Midpoint, First Cut Lab. So all third or second sessions were hosted in Lithuania. And to end my presentation, I would like to highlight some Lithuanian film production policy, I dare to say. So what is our success? Is this thing. So that we have a successful film tax incentive scheme. We do collaborate with Lithuanian film sector, especially producers, and I say that this close cooperation with the film sector has turned into a strategic partnership. So what is important, it's continuous learning by organizing training workshops for film professionals and encouraging producers to benefit from educational grants. The maximum grant you can receive, for example, from the Lithuanian Film Center, if you want to participate in Java workshop, etc., it's up to 3,600 euros. Yeah, and what we do, we constant updating our legislation. As I said it before, 2 years ago, we have introduced TV drama section in our regulation. Yeah, and we do close collaboration concerning participation in the European film markets and finance the participation.
Thank you. This is very illuminative. And please go back to the slide where it says the maximum you give to a film project is 1.5 million. I'm looking at the president of the Film Center who has a little bit more than that for the whole budget of the year. Yes, that is a very disturbing slide. Can I ask how many residents Lithuania has? How many of you are there?
Yeah, 3.5 million, more or less.
Yes, Greece, no, Athens is 5 million. So Greece is probably about 11 million. And let me highlight a couple of things for further discussion when Vicky will tell her presentation. You introduced the high-end TV drama, fantastic. Let me just say that for a Greek, the maximum amount of money is 250 from the Greek Film Center for a film, which could be any budget. So, yes. This is very disturbing. So I will now ask Milan to take the microphone. I have to add that Milan is an esteemed colleague. We've known each other, I mean, with Greek producers. He's worked with Greek producers for many years. He's also the president of the Serbian Audiovisual Producers Association. So he has many hats and he knows the Greek reality. And of course, we're neighbors and we work together many times. So Milan, please tell us.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you for inviting me and being part of this amazing group of people. I'm really flattered, and also for this esteemed colleague. So yeah, I'll try to be quick, and I won't give as many details as there came from Lithuania. But let's just quickly summarize what Serbia has and does in terms of funding. So Film Center Serbia is the main funding body for film, and it's completely dependent on the government funding. Although we have been trying for years to install some sort of instruments to help us have some independent financing through different versions of the law that we were trying to make. Eventually, we ended up again with only government-dependent funding, unfortunately. Fortunately, on the other hand, this funding has increased in the last 7-8 years. We used to have a very similar budget to what the Greek Film Center budget is today. Film Center Serbia used to have between 1.5 and 2 million budget for production per year. At the moment, the overall budget of the Film Center Serbia is a little below 10 million, and I would say the production budget is around 6 million. This is good news, and this has been going on now for some time, and it contributed to a large number of films per year. It also kind of contributed to the quality of films that came out from Serbia. Quantity does give quality sometimes. The bad news was that because of the I would say, internal political reasons, the amount of the overall budget of the Film Center Serbian production budget didn't really increase the individual projects' budgets, but it increased the number of projects, which was a way to kind of make everybody happy and to...
Of course. Can you give us an indication of what kind of numbers we're talking per project? Minority, majority?
Yeah, until this year, I would say the majority production would receive between 200 and 300,000 euros per project, and minority would always be between 40 and 100,000. Now, this year, finally, the amounts are rising a bit. We finally managed to fight one battle, and this is that the producers actually receive the money that they require in the financing plan. So now it goes up to 450,000 euros per project.
Nice.
For the so-called
Wouldn't it be
national
nice?
interest projects, it even goes beyond 500,000 euros. This is war dramas and projects and films that serve the daily politics in a way.
And you have TV funding, selective TV funding?
No,
at
not
the
yet.
Film Center?
Not
But
yet,
you're
because it's
lobbying.
only a film center. It's not an audiovisual center yet. The next law will probably be on audiovisual, and that will probably include some selective funding for TV as well. And let's say this is about Film Center Serbia and how it is at the moment. We, of course, the Film Center Serbia, as being dependent on the government funding, is always under some sort of pressures, and I think we are always on the watch to kind of keep it as independent as possible. And I like the fact that you here can talk about the problems, and your director of the fund is here. I can say that we sometimes can, sometimes not so much, because sometimes I think some of the directors would maybe even stand up and argue just because of the pressures they're under sometimes.
It's a good time for us with the Film Center. It's been stable and it's been functioning, fully functioning since, funnily enough, the summer of the pandemic, the end of the summer. We had some traumatic years, shall we say, before that. Yeah. But at the moment, even though it's underfunded, it's working. Yeah. And there's a dialogue.
So I will also add about the cash rebate, which is the sort of scheme we have in Serbia. It's been installed, I think, 5 or 6 years ago, and of course it was welcomed as a very important and useful thing, considering also that we already had some significant income from the foreign service productions. And it started with a modest budget of around 1.5 million in the first years. It very quickly increased to 3.5 million in the second or third year. And I would say this year, 2023, that the budget went up to 14 million euro for
So you'd
for
say
this
it's
year.
roughly a little bit more than the film fund.
Yeah, which kind of irritates us who produce Serbian films, and we have been talking about this a lot and talking about this as an argument to try to increase our overall budget for Serbian cinema even more. But then when we were talking today, I realized how little this discrepancy is in Serbia compared to the discrepancy in other countries like
It's fair to
Greece.
say that our foreign friends were shocked by the numbers they heard when we had a coffee now. They thought they had it bad between the rebate and the film centers.
But anyway,
Now they think differently.
anyway, like every story, this story with cash rebate in Serbia has two sides. One side is, of course, that the increase of the cash rebate, the appearance and the increase of the cash rebate, of course, attracted more and more foreign productions. So a lot of people in Serbia started earning more. They had more work, and this is a good thing, of course. On the other hand, this situation also allowed crews and rentals and other people involved in production to increase their fees to enormous heights.
Would you say to what percentage? In Greece, we
I would
calculate
say
about 40%.
100%
Right,
sometimes.
but
in some
presumably it was
positions.
really, really low before.
Of course, there were positive reactions to this. Film Center Serbia and the Faculty of Drama Arts, which is the National Film School, started a program of educating film crews. So there were courses for gaffers and focus pullers and script continuity and DIT and all the deficitary positions and film crews. And this made some difference, and it kind of was kind of a pillow to the whole situation. But it always felt like that the situation is a bit artificial and dangerous because we all know how this is unstable. I mean, if we lose the incentive tomorrow, or if Moldova or Albania become more, capable as well and more attractive for foreign productions, everybody will immediately go there. And these film crews that are now in I don't know 100% more than they used to be in 5 years ago, what will they do? And then we will go back to probably shooting independent films with own investment from crews and
you remember,
so on.
I remember. It is a truth universally acknowledged that the foreign productions always find better pastures after a little bit.
I will add just one more thing, and then I will go further. I think what is the most irritating thing about our cash rebate scheme is the fact that the Serbian film, or let's say the films that have been supported by Film Center Serbia, when the majority funding as a majority production, are completely discriminated in this scheme. And basically, because of a special way of reading a rule regarding the cash rebate, Serbian film cannot approach cash rebate at all. So there are very, very rare examples of films, of Serbian films, that can approach cash rebate, and it's strictly reserved now for foreign productions. And not only that, but the biggest service companies sort of manage to lobby their way through the regulative so that it's really made only for the biggest.
I'm really shocked. That never happens in Greece. You know that you can take them to the European Court for discrimination, because the rebates have a way sometimes of reading laws in very weird ways. Yeah. We experience that. We don't get this discrimination. We do have quotas about public versus private money, but you can take them to the European Court.
I know, as we were saying before, it's just a matter of an amount of issues that we need to deal with every day.
You don't have the time to do this?
We barely get the time to produce films now. So
well, I don't understand what you're saying. Thank you very much, Milan. Some experiences are similar, some are different. So let's go back to the nice numbers. Vicky Miha, she's an esteemed producer. She's also a member of the board of the Hellenic Film Academy. She just returned from, where was it, Ave? Luxembourg now? Rotterdam?
A-series and...
A-series.
In Latvia and the Ave in Rotterdam. Yeah.
Something that the Lithuanian Center has hosted. We're trying to host one of the big ones next year as Producers Alliance, with the help of the institution. So can we have Vicky's slides, please?
Hi, everyone.
Vicky, please comment on the shocking numbers.
There are a lot of comparisons in my slides, and I'm going to go through them very quickly. There are a lot of numbers, but I'm not going to go into each number. You will just see the big picture, and I think it's enough. Just to tell you how I gathered all this, basically it is from our networks, so it's not official data from the funds, so don't take them with the last euro in mind. It is data that has been given to the ACE network from producers like us, like Milan, like people who belong to this network, and each year they publish, they don't publish it, they make it available to their members, a catalog that has some data of each country. So these are not confirmed by the funds, but they are given by producers who know what is happening in their country. So the numbers that I'm going to mention are very, very brief. This is the amount for majority funding in Greece, up to 250,000 euros. This is something that if you get, you are already very happy, because in some of my last films I had much less than that. 130 I remember very distinctively. And this is the amount for majority funding in Portugal. I picked one country. Portugal is one of my favorite benchmarks because it's roughly the same size, it is roughly the same GDP. It is a country like in the south of Europe. So this is the minimum wage in Greece, and this is the minimum wage in Portugal. So you will see it is very, very close. Actually, Portugal is a little bit less expensive than we are. So we are, as producers, called to make a film that our main financier is giving us. I think the next slide has the calculation as well. I mean, you will talk to Portuguese colleagues and they are not happy either. I was just with one this weekend, so like she was like, making art house films in Portugal. I was thinking, will I ever be able to buy a car? And then she turned into Netflix. So it's not that this is paradise. It's not. But I really wanted to see this for you to see this comparison. So if it is not paradise for Portuguese producers, it is nearly impossible for us, I believe. And this is the budget per capita. So basically, I took more or less all the data I had, and I divided it by, oh, you can see it here, because here I cannot. And I divided per, as per the population of each country. So you will see that Greece is second last, only to Albania. And that Romania, again, Romanian colleagues are not happy, I have to tell you. I believe somebody might be here. But still, they are like quite higher than us. And then if you go to other countries, you will see the difference. And then these are like 3 countries I chose just to highlight. And then I took the same numbers and I put them as a percentage of GDP. So how much each country has per year. We are, I think, around 220 billion, around that number. Anyway, these are not 100% accurate again because, you know, like certain countries do it in dollars and certain countries, whatever. I'm not the Minister of Economics,
No,
but
we're
you
not
can
the
see.
European Observatory, but this is legit data.
This is legit data, yeah, because.
I'm a bit worried about Serbia.
What is it?
It's too much of a percentage of GDP.
Well, let's look into it. No, but it is accurate data that is the amounts that I have been using from the beginning and then compared to the GDP that has been published. Anyway, we will look into Serbia, but Greece is again last. That's the point. And that's for
It's
sure.
like Eurovision.
Now, we have also to mention that these numbers that we used to begin with, they include they include what is the budget each year, at the beginning of the year. Normally, it is to the discretion of the minister as well to say, okay, this year I will give you 2 or 3 million more. But this is not something that is budgeted, and that is not something that is calculated, and that is not how strategy can be done by a fund. And this is the standard number is 3.5 million per year, more or less. And that, if you said that compared to your cash rebate is there is a discrepancy, you will listen now what is the discrepancy with our cash rebate. Because we are talking in your case for 10 to 12 million, like a couple of million in between, we are talking about tenths of million. No.
Thank you, Vicky.
I think more or less that's it, yeah.
Thank you, Vicky. This is a difficult set of numbers to look at. I mean, we know it, but even we know it when you see it and it's comparative. And it's at the bottom. You know, this is a country which is rapidly developing since in the past few years. Evidently, also in cinema, where you know, there's a Greek Hollywood. This is not reflected in the numbers. So let me turn to my fellow board member at the association, another esteemed producer, Konstantinos Kontovrakis. You should know that today there was a common statement released, which was signed by all professional associations, producer-related professional associations in Greece, which is the Producers Alliance. There's another Producers Alliance, which is more focused on commercials and servicing. They also signed it. The Association of Directors, Producers also signed it, and the Documentary Association also signed it. And it expresses some concerns because there is, well, there's a situation in general, and there's also developments that have been announced and are being discussed, but about a new institution, etc., because we heard that the Lithuanian Film Center is managing the rebate as well, even though it's an automatic process. What's happening in Greece?
Hello, yes. Okay, so, well, where to start? Yeah, very discouraging. Vicky, you just broke my heart. You too.
There's gonna be booze after, people. Booze.
I think, I mean, the numbers are evident. We don't have to analyze. It's such a stark and clear difference that, I mean, we don't really need to say anything further. And if we add, I think what we need to add here is the stark difference of the numbers we just saw regarding the Greek Film Center, not just compared to what Lithuania does or Serbia, but also to what was announced yesterday here in this very room by the president of our cash rebate.
New president.
The new president, yes, of course. Happily
Positive
new.
development.
Yes, we're very happy about this change. Who announced the numbers that have been used and dispersed in Greece, which is 100 million through a cash rebate, a huge number.
So where did the money go?
From the beginning, I will answer this question. But what is important to say is that from the beginning, I mean, the cash rebate is something that we have been fighting for. I was working for this festival in Thessaloniki in 2000. That was the first year I was here as a staff member of the festival. And already from then, I remember the producers, the Greek producers, using Ireland as an example because they were the first to create the tax incentive and trying to claim a local incentive for the audiovisual sector. So we have been fighting for it for a very long time, and we still fight for it, and we still want it to be healthy and useful.
And we were super happy when it happened.
Yes. The thing is that, unfortunately, it seems that we live in a country where things happen, but without any strategy or proper thought behind them. And I'm just going to use one example. So out of this 100, our previous, under the previous administration of the rebate and under the previous minister, there was a change in the law which was detrimental in every way, which enabled foreign invoices to enter the rebate. So not, and we're not just talking about above the line, just like the Czech Republic does, for instance, but also below the line.
What does that mean exactly?
It means that basically everybody, that's only for projects that would spend of 8 million euro and above. So according to our calculations, out of this 100 million euro that was dispersed in these last 4 years, I think anything between 30 to 60% of that went towards one company. Yes, anything between 30 and 60. So, I mean,
presumably not a Greek company. I mean,
no, I mean, you need to have a local company to work with
sure,
in any way, but
not a Greek production.
Not. It falls under the, let's say, when the numbers were announced here yesterday, and they said that out of this 100, most of it went to foreign productions. It was foreign productions, and one company behind them. So, I mean, this just shows how things happen without proper thought and proper strategy. And our position as Greek producers, not just as an association, but as all the Greek producers who signed the statement that was released today, is that anything that happens, either in every way, has to happen for the local industry. There's no point in designing any incentive. There's no point in spending hundreds of millions of euros unless this returns to the local talent and how the local talent will flourish further, because we know very well that the studios will tomorrow move to another country. It's happened. I mean, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're not rewriting history. And the numbers, I think, just prove the opposite, unfortunately. And now we come to what has been the hot potato in the Greek sector for the last year, which is that our government, just before the national elections, announced that they are going to create a new institution which is going to bring together the Greek Film Center, with a cash rebate, and the Greek organization for the intellectual property. In theory, we all said it's a very good idea. But when you see the results of when this theory becomes action, and you see that the action has zero, well, zero might be too much of a word, but anyway, not its due attention and strategy behind it, and you have such immense discrepancies as the ones we just saw, you come to think, what are we doing to ourselves? How is this going to work? How is this going to work without proper attention, without proper consultation with the sector, and without a serious debate that needs to happen with us, and without a strategy that proves that all of this is happening for the local industry and the local talent. That's it. Thank you very much. Yes, please, Milan.
Yeah, I was just inspired with what you said. Numbers are very exact, but numbers can also be sort of misleading. A couple of years ago, we were complaining that the overall budget for culture in Serbia was too low. It was below 1%. And we were insisting that it needs to be over 1%, preferably 2% for the of the overall government budget. And somebody was smart and imaginative, and they took the cash rebate scheme, which was first under the Ministry of Finances, and they just moved it in the Ministry of Culture. And all of a sudden, Ministry of Culture had a budget over 1% and almost 2%. So I think it's really important to strategize and really go to small details in every possible action, because things like that also happen.
And I think it's very important that we just had this presentation from the Lithuanian Film Center, which is compared to our film center, a very young institution, and you see how things fall into place if things are designed and executed with attention and thinking behind it, and not just to say yes, we spent X amount of money and we attracted X amount of production in Greece, because this is just. I mean, it's just a bubble. It's bound to pop.
I would like to point out here that it took us 2 years, 4 years, lobbying the previous minister, the minister in charge of the rebate, not to do the foreign invoices thing, and then to reverse it. It took us 4 years of work. We have plenty of time. We don't need to produce any films. We just do the lobbying thing. And we managed to reverse that. But it took us maybe 3 years. Maybe I'm overreacting.
3 years and a lot of work. And yes, fortunately,
because it had not been properly discussed. Yes. It had not been discussed with the professionals who are going to execute it. And it really is not nuclear science. It's happened before. It's there. People know about it. We know about it. Our colleagues know about it. It's not nuclear science. Okay. So are we... It's not that we are... I would also like to point out that as producers and the sector, I remember we've always been lobbying the government, again, for a unified policy. A thought-out policy on film. By the way, I think for culture, I think we have 0.48. But then again, the rebate money is distributed through another ministry, so far. So it's not that we don't want a unified policy, a thought-out policy. It's just that it needs to be thought out, and it needs to be rational. It needs to be clear. It needs not to be bureaucratic, not to be, to work in favor of the local industry. But it's not all bad news. We're going to end this and then we'll open the floor to questions, if we have some time, Angeliki. It's not all bad news. Our colleague Maria Laskaridou, a younger generation member of the Producers Alliance, our rebate, I think I said it before, is a cash rebate rather than a tax relief or a tax rebate. However, there is a tax relief scheme which is recently been instituted, I think, or recently has been executed. And Maria is here to tell us some good news, how they access the tax relief for Cronenberg's movie, Crimes of the Future, that
Correct, yes.
Argonauts serviced.
It was co-production.
Co-produced. I'm
Yeah.
very sorry, Panagiotis. Co-produced and serviced.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Lovely to be here. I would like to begin with saying that it's very important to be vocal about all of this, because it's a way of accessing the tools that we have and what is working, or how we can improve the things that the tools that we have. So, in order to finish in a more optimistic note, one of the tools that we could use in order also to increase the private financing that we can access for our films, because it's one way of the state funding that we can receive, but also it shouldn't be the only funding that we can access to make films. So there is a difference, and there are two incentive schemes that we can use through ECOME. One is the cash rebate, which we all know, we talk about, but one that we don't talk about as much is the tax incentive, the tax relief. The tax relief is a scheme that we can use when a company or a physical person can and will finance part of the film or part of the TV series, because it's also included, and it falls under the same organization, ECOME, and it can be combined with a cash rebate or done separately as a separate application to the cash rebate as well. So in that case, I will just skip many technical details, but I will want to say is that like the investor can access a tax deduction of their taxable income, which amounts up to 30% of the total eligible spend of the project. And this was a thing that we also tried out because it was new water for us as well, and I think not many of us have used the tool so far. In the Crimes of the Future co-production that we did, because Argonauts did invest an amount of funding for the specific co-production. So this was a tool in order for us to take an advantage, like have an incentive for the company to reduce the tax of the company, but at the same time help the production. So if we have private funding, and if we not, like it's a tool to use the tax relief in order to attract private investors, physical person or companies to fund more our productions and use it in a way of combining it with the cash rebate that we already know. And I think that we need to discover more what is the most of the tools that we have, because at some point, like we have the tool, but we don't use it because we haven't had the chance to do it as private financing.
So let me ask you one last question, and then we look forward to your questions. Hopefully you have them. We know that it's very important in any kind of development funding, development in the sense of not film development, that things happen quickly, they happen, or at least there's a timeline set, it's respected, because we're talking about money. Money is money. Lack of money is serious money. So we know that in the rebate we have had some issues in the past with how transparent and how fast and how respectful of the deadlines it is. What was the experience like on the tax relief? Did it happen, because it happens through the rebate as well? Presumably it happened through the previous administration, because that's when
correct.
Crimes of the Future was.
Correct. So as a information so that you all know, it was in 2021. So it's a kind of different process in terms of how the final report is submitted, but the application is pretty much the same. It is going through the taxable income of the company. So it's not a reimbursement.
It's deducted.
Yes. So it is deducted, though, not in the fiscal year that you finance, but it's deductible on the fiscal year that the eligible expenses are happening. Yes. So it is pretty much automatic through the tax, like the tax organization, tax authority, correct? So it's kind of a different process of how quickly, or because it's not a reimbursement.
Okay, clear, very clear. Thank you all. I hope we put some interesting questions forward, which we look forward to hearing if you have them. Yes.
Thank you very much for this presentation. I see always in Lithuania producers complain about the situation, but now when I hear Greek producers talking, I'm like, okay, wow, surprised. I just wanted to find out actually, what is the average budget of Greek national film? Because I saw that you can ask for 250,000 from Greek Film Center. Yes, and if I would like to co-produce with Greece, what amount of money I could expect as a minority co-producer from Greek fund?
Of course you can.
So, I mean, the average budget, I think, we would talk about 1 point.
I think it depends whether it's a European co-production or not. I would say if it's a European co-production, including Irma, 2 million would be the maximum.
The European, on that, because I wanted to include it, but then I didn't. The European Observatory has done this, has this number, but it is based on only 2 films. So
Greek films, you mean?
Greek films, yeah. It was the average budget per country, let's put it like that. So it was 1.1 million, but it was just so small, the percent, like the sample,
the data
that.
So it's a problem. I mean, this whole discrepancy has created another problem for us, which is that, of course, when you have all this production activity happening in Greece, the rates rise. The money we can use as a centerpiece of our financing, which is the money we get from the Greek Film Center, the production financing hasn't risen.
And
so
the answer to
no further comment.
The answer to the amount of money you can expect. You can expect a maximum of 100K from the Greek Film Center. That's the maximum. And the Greek TV does not have a maximum because they have one program, it's one application, whether it's a Greek minority or a Greek majority, so it's in the same pool. I would say that sometimes it could be a little more than that, but nothing spectacular. Usually it's around that number from the TV. And then, of course, from the rebate, you can expect 40% of what you spend.
Therefore, and also, which means that, you know, I mean, of course, co-production is the only way to go. I mean, it has always been for European producers, but we need to, and we all know how difficult and competitive it's becoming out there. But we need to invent more and more ways and making it even more complicated, because we have budgets that are rising because the local rates are rising. The money we can access locally doesn't. So we just need to invent and create even more complicated structures in order to be able to finance this average budget of, I would say, let's say, anywhere between 1.5 to 2 million.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another question, perhaps? I agree with you. The numbers are so bad, it's time for a beer.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us.